There's a mountain tucked away in the heart of North Carolina. Quiet, beautiful, steady. But beneath its rolling slopes lies a story of exile, endurance, and unexpected unity. Its name is Junaluska. And like the land itself, its history runs deep, from the Cherokee Nation and the forced trails of the 1800s to the resilience of black families who built new lives there to the present-day community that carries both legacies forward. Today, we're unpacking the full story. Who were the people of Junaluska? How did this place become a haven for both Native and Black lives? And what does it mean right now to live on land layered with both pain and pride? This is Junaluska, the mountain that remembers. Before Junaluska was a neighborhood, before it was even a name whispered in history, it was part of the ancestral homeland of the Cherokee Nation. For centuries, the Cherokee people lived throughout the Appalachian Mountains in what we now call western North Carolina, eastern Tennessee, and northern Georgia. They thrived here, farming, hunting, building towns, and trading along rivers and mountain passes. Their lives were interwoven with the land, not owned but shared. And one of their heroes, a man named Junaluska, would become a symbol of both their courage and tragedy. Junaluska was born around the late 1770s, in what's now Tennessee. He rose to prominence as a Cherokee leader and warrior respected for his strength and his ability to unite people. During the War of 1812, he famously saved the life of Andrew Jackson at the Battle of Horseshoe Bend. Junaluska's warriors fought alongside U.S. troops against the Creek Nation. He believed he was fighting to protect Cherokee lands to secure peace. But what came next was betrayal. Years later, that same Andrew Jackson, the man whose life Junaluska had saved, signed the Indian Removal Act of 1830. It forced thousands of Cherokee people from their homes in one of the darkest chapters of American history, the Trail of Tears. Junaluska and his people were forced west, hundreds of miles away, through sickness, cold, and death. But the story doesn't end there. Junaluska returned. Unlike most of his people, he made his way back east to the mountains of North Carolina, back to the land that held his ancestors' voices. He settled near what's now Robbinsville, and the town that carries his name still stands as a reminder of his return, his resilience, and his refusal to let his identity be erased. For the Cherokee who remained, those mountains became sacred ground, not just for survival, but for memory. But this is where Junaluska's story takes on another layer, one that's often left out of textbooks. Because Junaluska isn't just a Cherokee story, it's also an African-American story. Fast forward to the late 1800s and early 1900s. In nearby Boone, North Carolina, a small black community began to take shape. It too came to be called Junaluska, a neighborhood perched in the hills above the town. How did this happen? After the Civil War, formerly enslaved people in western North Carolina, many of whom had been forced to labor on local farms and in towns, stayed. They built new lives, new homes, and new futures on the very soil where they had once been bound. And because of the area's isolation and geography, those Appalachian ridges that both protect and hide, Junaluska became a safe haven for black families. It was a community that lived on the edge of white Boone, often excluded, but never invisible. Black churches like St. Luke's Missionary Baptist Church became the backbone of the community. They built homes by hand. They built families with faith. And over time, the name Junaluska came to represent two intertwined legacies: Native endurance and Black self-determination. You can almost picture it. Sunday mornings, families walking up those steep roads in their best clothes, the echoes of sermons mixing with mountain wind. Children playing outside while their parents worked in nearby Boone, often in white households or town jobs, but always returning to Junaluska each night. It wasn't easy. Segregation, poverty, and exclusion shaped much of life there. But even through hardship, Junaluska stood as a symbol of survival, a place that said, "We're still here." the significance of Junaluska goes beyond geography. It's not just about who lived there, it's about why they stayed. For the Cherokee, it was about reclaiming sacred ground, refusing to let forced removal erase their presence. For the Black community, it was about establishing freedom, claiming a piece of land no matter how small and making it home. Junaluska became a mirror of the broader American story. Two peoples pushed to the margins, finding strength and identity in the same soil. And yet, it also shows us something hopeful. That history doesn't have to divide memory. It can braid it. Today, when we talk about shared heritage, Junaluska is one of those rare places where that phrase truly means something. If you visit Junaluska now, the neighborhood above Boone, it still holds that same quiet power. It's one of the oldest historically Black communities in western North Carolina, though it's small, just a few dozen homes. Many of its residents are descendants of the first Black families who settled there after emancipation. But gentrification and rising housing costs have begun to reshape it. Old homes are being replaced or renovated. Younger generations, priced out or moving for opportunity, leave behind fading memories. And yet, the spirit remains. In recent years, efforts have been made to preserve Junaluska's history. Community members have documented oral histories, restored landmarks, and even worked with the local university to highlight the area's significance. They've created a walking tour, showing where families lived, where churches once stood, and where the voices of the past still whisper through pine and brick. Meanwhile, the original Cherokee town of Junaluska, near Robbinsville, continues to honor its namesake through heritage centers, monuments, and cultural education, reclaiming his story from myth and misrepresentation. So, two Junaluskas exist today, one native, one Black, both born of displacement and both carrying the weight of memory. There's a reason this story matters today. Because Junaluska, both the man and the communities, reminds us that history isn't a straight line. It's a circle. The same land that witnessed exile also became a refuge. The same hills that echoed with cries of loss now ring with the sound of resilience. When we talk about America's hidden stories, Junaluska belongs at the center. It's where Native and Black histories meet, not by accident, but by survival. So the next time you drive through western North Carolina, pass the sign that says, Junaluska. Remember, you're passing through a living archive, a story of how people made home out of heartbreak and community out of chaos. This has been another episode of Soul of Omen presents Junaluska, the mountain that remembers. Thank you for listening and for remembering.